Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Hello. This is Adolf Vega, and I have with me Jake. How you doing, Jake?
Pretty good.
And today we're talking about Avengers Endgame again. This is the third time we talked about this movie, and this is a special edition podcast because they did a re-release with additional content at the end, and Jake saw it. I did not. So how did this go for you?
It was fine. It actually starts off with a scene with Anthony Russo, introducing the movie and then telling folks to stick around because there's additional footage at the end. Then you get the movie, just like in the past, except this, in my area, there was no 3D screenings of this. So I'm assuming all the new material was 2D only. I guess we'll find out for sure when the 3D Blu-ray gets released. And then you go through the movie, and then you have stuff at the end. You have a couple of minute behind the scenes look tribute to Stan Lee. You get to see Stan Lee behind the scenes shooting his mini cameos from the Marvel movies, plus some scenes of footage we've never seen. So we wonder, are we going to see these in the future? It was basically, it was like Stan, we love you 3000.
Okay.
And then they had an unfinished, deleted scene of the Hulk rescuing people from a fire in the city of Atlanta.
That's interesting.
And it's a film. Just watching the scene you learn so much about filmmaking because it's a very rough, unfinished, computer animated scene. So you can really see how much work actually goes into these movies just from that scene. You'll really appreciate the motion capture work that Mark Ruffalo does.
So where did this fire come from? I don't remember any scene in Atlanta.
Okay. The scene is basically a fire breaks out and the Hulk he's doing heroic stuff. It was one of those things that they decided near the last minute to delete because the movie was running so long. And they decided that the payoff of seeing the Hulk as Professor Hulk worked better than being introduced to the character doing something heroic.
Interesting.
It worked better. Yeah, it does. If you've seen the movie when they go to the diner and you're introduced to Hulk, that's wow. Has more. It would have been. It was a bigger impact than being introduced to him in Atlanta rescuing a family.
Okay, so this scene is supposed to take place after the 5 years before they go back in time.
Yeah, it's after the 5 years, and it's before they meet up with him in the diner.
Gotcha. So this was a completely independent scene. It had nothing to do with anything that happened in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Because I was like, wait a minute here. And it gets kind of, I don't know if it's confirmation or not, but the guy that does the 3D for Marvel, I did tweet him about this and asked him if if the additional stuff would be in 3D. And he, obviously we recorded together for a podcast last year, and he's really good about being on Twitter, and he has not responded. So I'm guessing they were not, filmed or done any of that in 3D, which I understand. I think it makes sense. They're not.
Yeah.
They got to work on SpiderMan next, so they don't got time.
And then they had a brief scene. Then Anthony Russo comes back, gives a little bit more of a talk, and then introduces a brief stinger for Far From Home, which has Nick Fury and Maria Hill down in Mexico going through a town looks like they've been hit by a tornado, and we meet Mysterio.
So this is from the movie. This is not like an additional scene.
We don't know. I don't know if it's in the movie or not, or just a stinger. But we see Maria Hill and Nick Fury, and they're down in Mexico, and they see this village that's like flattened. It looks like it's been flattened by a tornado, and then some creature just starts stirring, and then Mysterio pops up and says, "You don't want any part of this," and starts fighting him, and then it cuts, and it's a promo. See Endgame, July.
Spider-Man: Far From Home. You mean?
Far from home. It's been too long. It's been too long.
So this additional content, I think it's probably going to be on the Blu-ray. Is that pretty safe to assume? You think?
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that it's going to be content on the Blu-ray.
If not, that would be a really messed up thing to never release it for home.
Oh, that would be incredibly stupid move.
So, is it worth going back to the theater just for this scene?
Probably no.
But it was, you still love the movie, so you're not disappointed or anything.
If you haven't seen it, it's well worth going to if you haven't caught it yet, because you're going to be if you're one of the like 5 people on Earth who haven't seen Endgame, but you've got to go see Spider-Man, you're probably going to be lost, because Spider-Man is supposedly involves the fallout from Endgame.
This would have been a great super long double feature.
Yeah, or a really, really long triple feature.
Yeah. Or, quadruple feature where you have Spider-Man Homecoming, and then Infinity War, then Endgame, and then Far From Home.
Or you watch them all for your 3,000 minutes. Talk about leveling at Marvel 3000.
So, what time is this for you watching Endgame? Is the 3rd time?
4th time on the big screen.
Okay. Did you miss 3D? Not seeing it in 3D or no?
Yeah, I did actually. The 3Ds add such a rich experience, especially a lot of the spaceships and the clouds moving in. Some of the lighting effects. One scene looked better in 2D than 3D. It's near the beginning. It's when Tony and Nebula are in space, and Nebula puts Tony in the captain, in the chair, sit up, so he can like die sitting up.
Yeah.
And and you have a close up on Tony's face.
Yeah.
And his eyes are closed, and the lighting changes. That's when Captain Marvel shows up, and the light just changes from this cold, dark blue, and all of a sudden it just becomes this kind of warm orange. It worked so much better in 2D than 3D, because the 3D darkens the screen, and that effect isn't nearly as effective.
Okay. Well, just in case people are wondering, I think, I don't know did you get the free poster too or no?
They didn't have them. They had the theater I went to had a near riot. The projector broke down. We had to wait an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my day just became a lot longer. So my end game was 4 hours, not 3.
And the Blu-ray is coming out, I think, in August, right?
I believe so.
Okay. I guess that's basically it for this Avengers Extra podcast.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support.
All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.